Well, how you doing? Glad you're here. Forgive me, but I actually thought that Robert was going to start us in this one. He did not, but that's okay. Welcome to United We Stand, Divided We podcast. This is the second week in a row we actually got that correct. So congratulations to us. This is episode 12. If you're just listening, then we apologize if there's any dead space like there was last week. We'll try to avoid that this week. We got a number of things that we want to talk about because once again, and this time not sports related, I made a prediction or two, and it seems that my track record is absolutely terrible. Anyways, I'm Lionel, and I'm in Toronto, and of course we have Robert in the Nashville area. So, do you want to recap anything?
If it weren't for an opening blooper, it wouldn't be our podcast.
Exactly. So if you're just listening, too bad. Maybe it's funny, maybe it's not. But if you're watching, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about what was it? You know what? We can get to the stuff that I got wrong later. I think you wanted to bring up something about. Oh no, wait! I did say something about this. Yeah. You know what? This is one of my predictions. What was it, last week or the week? I think it was last week. And I said Apple is not going to join with OpenAI and pay all that money. They'll probably get a better deal trying to go with Google, because there were rumors that they would get Google's AI Gemini put into phones. Well,
yeah,
I was the one who was wrong, so I'll let Robert tell you why. At least rumored to be wrong.
Yeah, rumored is correct, because things change all the time. And you actually sent me the article, and I was kind of looking through it. The heading of the article I find hilarious. Apple reportedly joins forces with OpenAI to shove a chatbot into iOS
18.
I see that working. I don't see anything going wrong with that.
Yeah, well, it would be beneficial for everybody in reality, and quite frankly, to be honest with you, I think I would rather actually see it that way, because I think if the same the same AI technology is in everything, then you're talking monopoly. And when you want to move forward, you need competition. I mean, when people thought Microsoft was the only thing on the block, the only competition was the fact that, much like you see with Android phones and all the different manufacturers, Windows was put on different machines. They didn't at the time have machines, right? And even now, they're a small market compared to everyone else.
Right.
Apple has always been a closed ecosystem, or walled, not so garden, in my opinion, but nonetheless. So, but you always say, but once Steve Jobs went back to Apple and got that started up, boom, huge competition, tens of thousands of people a week, students rather, I'm trying to say, we're grabbing up these new iMacs, and it created competition. Not only did it drive the price down on new Windows laptops and desktops, but it made for a whole new thing. I mean, everybody needed to have a computer. People started being able to afford it. Now you get to the point where 2 or 3 or 4 computers in your house. A few years at one point, I think half my friends had a computer, usually older, not working very well. Fast forward about 4 or 5 years, and I knew several people who had 2 or 3 computers in their house at least. Sometimes everyone in the family had to grow.
Right.
Huge change.
Well, ironically, when I was reading through the article, there's a link in there about how Apple had discussions with Google to use Gemini. And ironically, it was Google's own failure that caused Apple to go to OpenAI, because if you remember that whole fiasco about it answering questions of sensitive matters like race, religion, things like that.
Right.
That's
That's
why Apple said, "Hey, we're going to put the brakes on it," and they paused conversations with Google until Google created a fix. But maybe it didn't come fast enough. I don't know, but
right.
That was just kind of ironic that they were in conversation with him first, but because of the controversy that occurred, they decided to go with OpenAI, because apparently OpenAI was maybe already able to do that? I don't know. I never asked it controversial questions, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know
I
how
haven't
it.
either.
Yeah.
But I
So,
will say
but
this though, in my limited experience with both OpenAI or ChatGPT 4.0, not 0, uh, versus Gemini, I'm finding that more and more they're able to answer the same things and do the same stuff. But I do find Gemini works better for me because it's basically integrated with my phone much better at this point. But OpenAI, ChatGPT 4.0 is ahead. It's basically where we want, at the very least, where we want Gemini to be. Um,
yeah.
so with that said, I think that Apple's actually on the right track of going that direction because they are actually ahead of Gemini right now. They've been doing it longer. Gemini's catching up. They're not quite there yet. And don't get me wrong. That's not to say that it's not good. I find it incredibly helpful. I
Yeah.
have not Googled anything in over 2 weeks. I simply Gemini it and let Gemini do the work. It gives me one to however many links I need. I asked it one question and I knew technically the answer, but I wanted some more detailed information. The answer it gave me was wildly incorrect. It was literally about my Hyundai Elantra. And it said the Hyundai Elantra does not have a 2018 Hyundai Elantra does not have a CVT transmission. It has an automatic transmission. I said, could you please fact check this information? I'm pretty sure that's incorrect. It came back almost instantly with, I'm so sorry, you're absolutely correct. The 2018 Hyundai Elantra does have a CVT transmission. And I guess what happens is it looks for a Google link or whatever link it's looking for, probably Google, most likely. And what it does is that I guess it finds something that looks relevant, and it doesn't actually necessarily fact check itself. Now, one thing I will say is that the newest version of ChatGPT 4.0 will actually double check, and it does it technically a little bit faster too, to be honest with you. And it will check that information, and if there's anything that makes it like which one of these is actually true, because it's not going to keep fact checking unless you ask it to. It will probably give you both answers saying, this is the answer I think you might be looking for, but this is another possibility. Would you like me to fact check it? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gemini should be doing that, and the newer version of Gemini probably will when we actually have it on phones. I believe the latest version of it is only for developers or beta testers or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. For Gemini, I mean.
I don't know. I got to actually, which I was going to mention, I got an email today saying that it's available. 1.5 is. So I don't know if that just means that they just upgraded to 1.5 or there's more integration now than there
Yeah,
used
I'm
to
I'm
be.
trying to figure out if that's like if the paid service, if that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't.
think that's going to be part of even the Gemini Advanced. I don't think, at least not on mobile yet. I wouldn't think because if that was true, then it wouldn't have given me that wrong answer. I don't because that was why. And by the way, it happened like 3 times in 2 days where it gave me, and I started asking it questions to see if it would give me a wrong answer. But I give it this: if you suspect, or even if you don't, but you want to be 100% sure, like if you Google something and it tells you what you think is what you're looking for, you usually scroll down to find other links to verify, right? Basically, do
Right.
your own hard fact checking work. It may not necessarily be fact checking. You're not maybe not going that far, but you are trying to cite more than one source to see if that's correct or not, or at least what the chances of it are. In this case, you can just literally ask it to fact check itself, and it will do it immediately, and it's really cool. So that's one thing I do love about it. But as I said, 4.0
Yeah, I think it's
a little
just
ahead.
some. I went back to look at my email, and because I have that 2 terabyte Google One plan, I already have the advanced, Gemini Advanced,
As
and
do I. Yeah.
it's just saying try Gemini Advanced. That it's now been upgraded to 1.5 Pro for the advanced model.
Oh,
So
so
they've
maybe
just
I'm
up.
wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get any emails like that though, so maybe that is only for Wait, no, you just said, because you have the same thing I do. So where do you get all these emails? Maybe, you know what? Can we put up a big GIF right now that says America with a guy in a flag?
Yeah.
Can it get nothing again? Oh
I,
man.
maybe you don't subscribe to them. I know you don't like
Well, you know
notifications and
I do.
emails.
I
don't know.
wait, subscribe to what though? Let
I
me put this aside. I'm actually going to look down here while you do the talking.
yeah, because I mean it's I'm sure at some point I subscribed to, emails for maybe the developers or something. I don't know. I don't know how I got the email other than it says specifically if you're already a Gemini Advanced subscriber, these features are available to you today. If not, you can access 2-month trial, blah, blah, blah. So I guess because I'm a 2 terabyte subscriber with the plan, but you said you are too. So
I'm gonna actually ask Gemini about it right now. If I subscribe to Gemini Advanced, do I get 1.5 Pro right now, or is that only for developers? See what it says.
should have said, or is that only for Robert in the US?
Oh, okay. I can't hear it because apparently when I mute the thing on that app on the computer, it mutes my phone too. So I guess that's actually not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's synchronized better like Apple. So we'll get into that another time though. So it says yes, subscribing to Gemini Advanced gives you access to Gemini 1.5 Pro, which boasts the longest context window of any widely available consumer chatbot. This allows you to analyze large amounts of text, code, or video content with exceptional understanding. I don't believe I can do video in the phone app yet, though. No, I cannot because it literally only shows pictures, no video. So video would be limited to, I guess, the web. I guess it would let you do it on the website.
I guess. When I click the link to try it, it takes me to the website.
Yeah. You can, by the way, that doing it with analyzing pictures with it is great, though. It works phenomenal. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm really curious.
I haven't tried that yet.
I'm actually gonna see if I can. Oh, I can't.
Do you just drop a picture in there and say, "Tell me what this picture's about"?
Yeah. I wonder. Can I take a picture of this screen? Oh wait, I want to try something. Okay, attach. Oh, it didn't attach it. Yeah, it's not working because I got it on the. I can't.
Yeah.
It won't do it while I've got it on this. Like I can ask Gemini a question, but yeah, I can't send anything.
So apparently it can do direct out of your Google Drive too. So that's pretty cool. I guess we should have researched some of this prior.
I think the Google Drive is you have to be. I don't even know what you call it because I don't.
It says exclusive to Gemini Advanced Data Analysis. You can now upload your spreadsheets for faster data processing, exploration, presentation ready charts, deeper insights.
That doesn't apply to anybody who's. That doesn't apply to anybody who's not paying for. What do you call it? It's like
it's the Google One,
Office, but Gemini. No, not Google One. No, whatever they call. What does Google call their Office suite thingy?
Oh, Workspace.
Workspace, yeah. That's if you're a subscriber to Workspace only. That
it doesn't say anything about that.
I read it somewhere. I don't think I'm going to find it right now.
It doesn't say it's exclusive to that.
I think we should move on to something though, because if we're just looking for article citations right now.
Well, I mean, obviously we should have looked more into details. I know we were going to talk about it, but I didn't look at the details about.
In all fairness, I think we went off the track, so it's fine. Let's
at any rate.
We know where we're going with this. Apple is we don't know. It's still rumors, so we don't know if they're actually going to go with OpenAI. I think it would be probably best bet because again, competition is the best thing. Also, the fact is that you can use either of them on any platform, and Gemini, I think it's available on iPhone already, and if it's not, you will be able to, and you can certainly use the Gemini website even from your iPhone. So both are available. They have
what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to power Siri with OpenAI.
Well, and
So
that's
they want,
fine. Again,
it's not
it's
just about the app being
competition,
on
so
their
it's
phone.
good.
So
It's the same thing. It's the same thing well, like, what I'm saying though is that you would still have the option to use the other one for other things if that's what you wanted. Just like I will actually use OpenAI to ask questions or do certain things once in a while. Well, part of it's because I want to know, so talk about this stuff. And other reasons are there are still some things it does a little bit better or questions it answers better. But Gemini is great, and within the next year and a half, I think we're going to see it. I mean, they're saying the end of the year, but let's be realistic. It's going to be more integrated. They are replacing Google Assistant, but for the love of Pete, if you're going to put what at the time will be 2 million, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say coins, like I'm playing COD or something.
tokens or
Tokens, thank you. 2 million tokens is what they're talking about by the end of the year. So a year and a half from now, we're going to be looking at least 2.2 million tokens, maybe 2.5 million tokens or something like that. It'll be, if not above, at least on par with anything else at that point. And this is what they want to be able to do, is take anything that Google Assistant is capable of doing and put into this. So rather than just implementing this to communicate through Google Assistant to get your Google Home stuff done, it will just be able to do it, and it'll be able to do it better and more intuitively. Like, could you imagine instead of saying, "Hey, you know what,"
yeah.
get piss everybody off, right? Hey, you know what? Please turn this light on, and then technically years ago they were supposed to have implemented turn this light and then that light. Turn that light on also. Not say it like that, but you'd say, turn this light on.
Oh, I do it all the
Wait a
time.
second. Say that. Yeah, it doesn't always work though. It might work for you, but it doesn't work for me. It did, and then it stopped. And sometimes it will, but sometimes I have to wait to see if the first command has even worked properly. And it bugs me. And it's honestly, the issue is actually not in the current Google Assistant. It's the fact that the hardware is kind of getting a little long in the tooth unless you have the newest one. It doesn't get updated as often as it used to. My Google Home is the original one, for instance, the one that looks like an air freshener, right? They replaced it 3 years ago or something like that, I think, and then we had it around for 4 years or something. So it's like 7 years old. I bought it when it first came out. 7 or 8 years old, I think it is. I can't remember, something along that line. But nonetheless, they don't always work exactly as you want them to. And again, I don't really blame Google Assistant for that. It has, but they took some of the functionalities out of Google Assistant over the years, added a few other ones that work differently. But
well, you can only
imagine
get two commands.
Well, exactly. That's first of all, that's a problem.
I haven't been able to like turn this, and that. It's always just
right,
this
and
and
it's not just this, that, and that. Imagine having a 2 million token AI that you can just say, "Hey," well, I guess I could say Gemini because that ain't going to answer. I'd like you to turn on the dining room light and put it to 60% and make it orange, and please make the kitchen light blue at 37%. And make sure you turn the bathroom light on and the hall light so that my wife can see as she goes to the bathroom. And then it'll actually ask you, okay, I'm going to do all those things for you. I hope everything's fine. And your wife will be able to see when she goes to the bathroom. Was there anything else you'd like me to do? That's how it'll answer you.
And then you go, oh, wait, I almost forgot. Can you make sure the driveway light comes on at
exactly,
dark time?
exactly. And see, that's possible right now if they implement the stuff in. So this is what they want to do, and this is what they're going to do. How fast it'll get there, I don't know. The only thing I do know for almost a fact is that once you tell me all about how much you're enjoying it, I'll have to wait another 6 years before Canadians can have it. And with that said, let's move on. I'm a little bitter right now with all we have to wait in Canada for things. So, an article from The Verge. We're gonna cite them on this one here. We've made fun of The Verge over the years, but that's when they were very very Apple promoting. They kind of got rid of that moniker a long time ago, thankfully. So The Verge has an article. Is this just from yesterday? What's the date today?
This is today is the I almost said the 21st is 22nd.
Yeah, this is from a week ago. I don't know why I didn't see it earlier. I think I had two articles and I decided to bring this one up first. Uh, Tile owner Life 360 picks satellites over partnering with Apple or Google. Um, Now, this is the thing. Remember, I was talking about this is the one I was talking about before, and I thought, well, that sounds kind of dumb, but I think there was a little bit more information over why they decided to go that way, which should be in this other article that, for some reason, has nothing but advertisements. So, did I send you this one at all, or have you read anything about it?
No, we discussed it, but you didn't send me the article.
Okay. It's basically a just slightly newer one that doesn't really explain as much as I thought it did. Unfortunately, I skimmed it earlier, but basically the bottom line is that they're going to have their satellite network is going to work with their Bluetooth, and I can't remember the exact numbers that they have. Tile was once the largest Bluetooth trackers, of course. Obviously, that completely got taken over by Apple with their AirTags, but that's because there are more iPhones than there are Tile. So,
Right.
being able to say, get one more item that's again made by Apple or,
Well,
by
you
them.
got the watches, you got iPads, and I mean, you got all that.
Yeah, this
So,
stuff syncs together beautifully. It's very true.
yeah.
So the bottom line is, Tile has decided that they want to go with a satellite. So this means that if you're in the middle of the Mojave Desert or you actually are leaving Las Vegas and you haven't really sobered up yet. You don't know where you are, and you shouldn't be driving anyways. But you wake up in the morning next to a cockroach, I was going to say, a scorpion, next to some rock mesa somewhere in a scorching sun, and you're like, I got to call emergency services. Oh no, there's no service here. What do you do, right? You could they could track you. No, I'm kidding. I'm going somewhere with it. Obviously, they have their satellite thing, so Apple beat Google to that, by the way, because theirs is already they've had this for what, a year or two now. Their
Something like
satellite
that.
thing on the phone with emergency calls.
I think
Google or at least
9 isn't the Pixel 9. They're going to come out with that.
I we're hoping. We don't know that for a fact yet.
Yeah, I think I read something.
Yeah, we don't know that for a fact. I believe the Pixel 8 actually has the hardware, so they could add it to the current once they have it. But right now, that particular thing, they're only talking about it with a couple of companies providing the services in the US. So this whole schmigaroo is once again going completely off the wall as far as I'm concerned. I think Google should keep their mouth shut until they can actually include everybody. That's something you see that Apple or anybody else, any other company in the world does that. But for some reason, Google's like, oh, we can do this right now, and we're going to give it to 16 people in Nevada. And that's like, what the hell are you doing? Why did you did like they're telling us all this stuff? Anyways, I'm going off. I'm ranting again. We should do a segment where I'd rant. Anyways,
that's every week.
Bottom line is, okay, so you if somebody steals your phone and ends up in the middle of the desert, technically it would be trackable in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the Antarctica, wherever a satellite can reach it. Well, maybe not Antarctica. It might not be that many satellites flying over there. Not trackable satellites, anyways, or tracking satellites. But while I can see a benefit to that, the one thing I don't really get is the chances of that device not ending up somewhere where it can be tracked is pretty remote today. If somebody steals your phone from a casino in Las Vegas, I keep going back to Nevada here, and drives to New Mexico in the middle of the desert, you don't think they're ever going to try to turn that phone on where there's a signal? And I don't even mean a cell signal, a Wi-Fi signal. As soon as it catches anything, it's going to catch on. If it's got an AirTag on it, again, it's going to catch on to Bluetooth somewhere. Now, I think because they got newer AirTags coming out, by the way. I don't know about this for a fact, but maybe they will work with Wi-Fi as well, because they're supposed to be hugely improved AirTags. From what I understand, it's not a lot.
But if Tile is only going to use their existing Bluetooth and they're going to use the satellite system, the biggest problem I see with that is, and it has nothing to do with being out in the desert. It has to do with being you're in a warehouse that's a metal building and there's no other Tile devices around. satellite's not going to see you. There's no
Exactly.
tile devices around.
Exactly.
You're not going to have any way of tracking your phone. But
Yeah.
your buddy's got a Samsung or a Pixel or something over there that's got internet connection that it could connect to and track.
Precisely.
So I think they're missing the mark.
And here's the other thing too. This is probably not going to happen for a few years, but inevitably both Apple and Google probably wants to do it already. Probably Samsung too, but Apple eventually will probably concede within the next several years anyways, that to make their device even easier to find on somebody, that at least in a limited fashion, it would be able to actually look at Google's Find My network to find the device. Because we'll be able to see if it's being tracked. If somebody puts an Apple AirTag on illegally on our car or on our suitcase trying to track us or something like that, right? And we'll be able to get the notification saying, hey, there's an unknown tracker. So why wouldn't it be able to go the other way around and say, hey, the tracker is outside of your network, but it's being tracked by Google's network right now. Here's the location. That doesn't make it makes no sense that it wouldn't, at least, within a certain radius. And it should be able to go the other way. And I don't think Apple's going to open up anything to it. They'll just probably say, we'll send you a notification if we get a notification so you can track that. But they won't let you track it if it's flagged as nuts, In other words, the whole point is that if you try to put something on somebody else's stuff illegally, then the unknown device or unknown tracker has to be only known to the unknown tracker. Right?
Yeah, but see, here's another problem I see with that, which I don't understand why they don't like clue in on this. Right now, my wife no longer uses an iPhone, so we're all Android based. However, my stepdaughter still uses an iPhone. My son-in-law has a Samsung. Why would you not make it to where both members of that household could authorize either network to track either device? You know how powerful it would be to have this like network where you could use Google
that's exactly,
and
that's
Apple.
exactly what I'm talking about, right?
I know, that's what I'm saying, but why wouldn't they have, even if it's like I'm wife and husband, I want to be able to like authorize this app or that app or something. Right. You're doing it within your own, family network. It's not like a global thing. So you can't track my Apple or vice versa, but you can allow an app internally somehow authenticated to be able to do that. I don't.
Yeah. I think if you're within a certain network, like, I could see the benefit if like Apple and Google came together and said, yeah, if a family or even a group of friends, if that's so be it, coworkers, whatever, basically, did the proper two-factor authentication to say, yeah, I'm going to allow this to track this and that to track that. This is within a group. We use different devices, but we need to be able to track each other. So, because I mean, let's face it. Let's say somebody breaks into your house and they steal all of your computers, your wife's cell phone, but you have your phone. How the hell is she going to track her phone? Now you got to go buy a new computer. She's got to log on before canceling the other one so she can track it. And it makes no sense because they've like wiped it clean by then. Well, not wiped it clean because not magnetic tape, for God's sake.
Which the only Apple device she has is a watch. She doesn't have an Apple Mac, so you can't log into the Mac.
Is it an LTE watch?
No, but if it has Wi-Fi, you can still connect.
Well, yeah, that's true. Which means she would be able to use the Find My network. Well,
right. Yeah, I don't see. I don't.
Any
I don't
Wi-Fi?
know how...
No, it wouldn't be any Wi-Fi. If it's only Wi-Fi, that's to connect to her device, is it not? I think only cellular.
I don't know how the Apple network works. I have no idea. I think
it's pretty much. Well, maybe with theirs they could. I think with theirs, as long as you have Wi-Fi. I don't think Google's implemented that in their watches yet, but I think Samsung has. At least they used to on their older network. I'm not sure. I think you can do it as long as you have Wi-Fi. You don't necessarily need to be connected to anything else to do the Find My device, like whatever it's attached to. Oh God! Excuse me. Dropping.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they're missing the mark in the bigger picture of, like I said, with this family unit, where you might have. What if you're a family of 5 and half of you use iPhone products and half of you use Android products. I mean, what if it's
right.
Parents and kids? Parents have this, kids have that. You want to be able to monitor your children without necessarily having to go and install some third-party app. Why can't you just do it natively within the operating systems by allowing the communication? I just don't see why that technology isn't feasible. I mean,
it's
I'm not a programmer, so I don't know.
Well, it's not that it would be hard to program that kind of thing in, because the whole point is that they can find each other. They can look for each other. Your device, if it can't do it yet, it will be able to find another tracker. The whole unknown tracker thing is already implemented, both Apple and Google. Well, sorry, Apple's is actually not technically alive yet, I think, until their next iOS. I don't believe it is. I may be incorrect, but I don't think it is. And Google's is not fully rolled out yet, obviously.
Yeah.
As you know, because you have it, and despite the fact that we're all supposed to have it by the end of the month, I don't have it. And I just saw an article that says that the new Chipotle, very good with this, Chipolo and Pebblebees that are compatible with the Google's Find My Device network are starting to ship now. So people are going to have these things in a few days and be like, I thought you said I could do this when it was off. And no, right? So give us what we're asking for, what you're telling us you're going to give us. Although I will give them this. Almost everything they talked about in I/O this year is stuff that is either already working, is in the process of rolling out, will be rolled out over the next several months, with the exception of a few things that they're talking about within the next year and a half. Up until last year, most times at Google I/O, they would talk about stuff that we either never saw or took 2, 3, even 4 or 5 years. Remember when they talked about that wonderful new thing they were going to put in Google Photos that would allow you to erase the fence?
Yeah.
In front of a subject, so you could just see the subject without the fence blocking your view. That ended up not happening, but exactly as is. But it ended up being Magic Eraser, which we just got less than a year ago, 6 months ago, actually, pretty much. And that was originally from 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it's typical.
I gave up even
Google
thinking it was going to happen.
Technology, just sometimes I think manufacturers in general get a little overzealous with how quickly they can actually roll it out.
You know what? Let's make a promise to the viewers and listeners right now. Next week, let's actually talk about the Google Graveyard and do the top 10 best things that they shouldn't have canceled, and a top 10 things that we're glad got done.
That might take 2
weeks. No, it won't. It's just 10 things. We literally.
It was a joke about how many people.
Oh, things. Yeah. Yeah, well, no, that's why I said top 10, because there's way more than 20 in total. Way more. And by the way, the Google Graveyard, there's more than one site technically, but I think there's one that might actually be called the Google Graveyard specifically. It is for that purpose. It lists everything Google ever started and canceled. And believe me, there are things on there that is very good idea that they canceled. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that they just never gave a shot. Whether they were good or not, they never gave them a chance to find out. But we can talk about that. I think we should do it next week. There's the promise. We'll bring that up. So getting on with it. Where else we're going with here?
Well, the one thing I wanted to talk about, I sent you the wrong article, the wrong link, but along with the AI subject, is because this has just come out. With Microsoft just had their big technology thing, it's that time of year, but they are coming out with Copilot PCs that's got the neural processing unit built onto the board in the computer. So it's no longer going to have to be a cloud-based process. It's going to be a local-based process.
Oh, so but because we were talking about computers here and not phones, it's going to be a lot easier to make sure that coprocessor has what it needs on it and more than enough memory in the actual computer itself. So I'm assuming that you're saying this is not going to be Intel, is it?
No, it's a Snapdragon ARM processor because, for one, they say it's more efficient, which it is. They say
absolutely.
the power it's able to. I don't know. I don't. I guess we're gonna have to see. I'm an early adopter. I've always bought things early on. I don't have any problem doing that. They don't scare me. But I would probably wait on that one because I'm not so sure how the ARM processor thing is going to work. They say it's going to be more powerful than Intel. That's
easy.
Why the Intel units aren't going to be able to have it.
Listen, that's easy. All you got to do is open up the most powerful non-gaming laptop right now. Take a look at what's in it if it's Intel, right? And then compare that to your Galaxy S23, never mind the S24. And you go, wait a minute now. If I had a GPU that was meant for a laptop that worked with this processor, this would probably work better. I mean, my laptop does a good job, as you know. You know it very well. But it's still, older and slower. This wouldn't even run a phone. Just to be clear, this laptop could not run a modern phone at all. If it was a Snapdragon with its current specs, it would not run a phone very well at all. So,
oh no, the architecture is just so different. And the problem I see, here's a problem I see with the ARM aspect, right? Is it does not natively run Windows applications. So they have to, I forget what they called it. Because I sent you the wrong
I never
article,
thought about,
I didn't save the right one, but they have something that's like layered in the ARM Windows OS that will, not really an emulator, but it'll allow you to install and run, Windows applications like normal. I see that being problematic. But
you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like what is the equivalent of a driver in an ARM architecture?
I don't know that there is one.
You're
I'm
right.
Not that familiar with it, so I don't know.
Technically, there isn't, but there is obviously something there. I can't remember what it's called. I used to know this when I actually was doing, all that stuff we used to do with our phones back in the day, before Google killed everything. Oh, good God, I can't remember what it's called, but I think what they're doing basically is they're having something that takes the place of drivers, probably, or talks to drivers. So not talks to drivers, takes the place of. So they can basically write the programs to say if the driver has to tell this to do this because of that, instead of that, it will just ask the program, and then do it, because nothing is impossible. If it's written in code, then the code can be translated. So it's most likely that, you know what they're probably doing? They're probably writing an intermediary code in between in Kotlin, which could actually easily read one code and translate it to the next. I never thought of that till just now. I wonder if that's possible. We should find out.
Well, I'm looking here because I found the article.
God, don't let me be completely wrong. That would just be one more thing I'm wrong about.
Yeah, you need to stop all your predictions
behind while I'm behind. Well, that wasn't a prediction though. That's just a guesstimate. And I don't know. That's not a bad guesstimate though, because if you did, you would simply have to write a program that would actually talk to Windows programs, and that Kotlin could tell that program what to say and translate it back to into whatever the hell they're going to call the future version of Windows. That's basically going to be 100% compatible with Android.
Yeah. Well,
which is
ironically
great for Pixel users and, well, anybody with an Android. I was going to say Samsung, but I guess anybody with an Android. It's going to be great for all of us. But anyways, you were going to say.
As soon as Windows did their announcement, I mean, almost instantaneously, I started getting emails from Samsung. New Copilot PCs available. Acer, Asus, Dell, HP. They're all like throwing these, Copilot PCs out in the wild now.
Right. So Microsoft was way ahead of the game. Like but see, unlike Google, they didn't sit there and tell you about all this shit and then not do anything. They kept it quiet for a long time. Dell kept it quiet. Everyone else, all the partners kept it quiet, which is fantastic. And be quite frank with you, I would buy one. I would. Would I probably go with a cheaper one just in case? Maybe.
Yeah, because
But
see, like
on the other hand, I would probably
go.
go for a Surface, and this is why I believe it'll work, because Microsoft has not released a Surface laptop since the very first one that sucked. Well, I'm sorry, maybe the second one was a little iffy, but after that, all of their Surface products have been the best PCs I've ever used. Period, desktop or laptop. I'm not talking about for gaming here. I'm just talking about for your average everyday use. They ran smooth as butter. They never gave me issues. But much like if you buy an Apple product, you can take it to the Microsoft store, provided you bought it there, and say, "Hey, this is a problem with this. Can you help me out?" And then I'll sit there and either tell you how to fix the problem right there in front of them, or they'll make arrangements for you to have it repaired. So it's a great system. So Microsoft hardware, if they're putting it in their own Surface and not just giving it to a third party to test it, like Google would probably do, then I would trust it.
Well, that's what they're putting in. It's the Surface, the laptops, the tablets.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's all coming out.
Yeah, with. But there's other companies mentioned, which means they have partnerships, so you can get it.
I mean, they have a Galaxy Book. Samsung Galaxy Book has their new, Copilot PC, line.
Yeah, now I would do that too, but the reason why is, even though I don't have a Samsung phone, because of the the AirDrop competitor thing that Pixel and Samsung have, not nearby share. What's it called? Quick share.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, Samsung just kind of rejiggered theirs to work so that it would work with nearby share, but better, like Quick Share works. And Google said, we'll just switch to Quick Share and allow, and so they partnered. And again, that's because we were talking about that, I think, from much earlier podcast, how the partnership that Google and Samsung have done on software has made it better for everybody, because these things are starting to trickle down to other manufacturers now too. And now that they're going to have the Copilot thing, that pretty much means the Quick Share thing on Samsung devices is automatic. But it's also available on any Windows. So that means it will just work better.
Okay, here it is. I found it. So they have it is an emulator. So I was wrong.
Okay.
They have a new powerful emulator called Prism, where your apps will run great, whether native or emulated. So that's how they're going to run native current Windows-based type applications in the ARM architecture, is with this Prism emulator.
So the Prism emulator was probably written in Kotlin. There you go.
My experience with emulators is that they're not super reliable, but
usually that is true. Like 99.999999999% of the time. But if you remember, Apple introduced a long time ago the ability to run Windows inside a laptop or a computer, pardon me, that shouldn't be able to run Windows via an emulator. And some people started, in the early days, they had a little bit of an issue, but then they kind of fixed how that works. And there are people who for years have said they have run Windows inside of Mac OS for years, personal for one business for the other, or two different businesses on the same one, whatever. So they kind of figured that out by basically making something that would allow them to run it within the same architecture. Despite
this makes me want to go out and buy one just so I can see how it works.
Test it out, do a review, and then we'll talk about your review on this channel.
Well,
and
I don't have $1,000 I want to go dump on a test though right now.
Are you still? Are you? I'm sorry, I got to ask this right now because this is kind of important. Are you still doing reviews on your other channel?
Oh, of course, yeah, all the time.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we need to plug your channel. I mean, like, you should be doing that.
Gadgets.
There you go, Gadget Guys Gadgets. You guys need to check that out, and if you don't have the link in the description, put it in because why not, right?
Yeah.
Because he does some reviews. He does a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of home automation stuff
Yeah.
in his house, and like so when if I have an issue and I got to say, I'm trying to get this to work, and the directions are saying this, and this is saying that, and this should be working, but it's not. Robert is the first one that I will call, because he's been through all kinds of stuff. I have one, two, three, four, five lights in my bedroom, and a couple of devices here and there. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
He's got probably 5 lights just in his kitchen alone, maybe more.
I'm up to 90 in my house right now.
Like, I'm talking about the
Just
ones you
lights.
could do, just the ones you can do with Google Home. Because if I'm not mistaken, don't you have lights that don't work with Google Home as well, but they are smart lights?
No, everything
I thought
has
you did. I thought you
Google.
did. Oh, but they all work with Google Home.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like,
Like my nighttime routine, when I tell who good night, it shuts every light off in the entire house.
yeah. Well, mine does too, but again, it's only it's only 5.
Yeah.
I'm a baby when it comes to the whole home
But
automation thing. I got no door locks, no doorbells, none of that yet.
that's how I discovered when Philips Hue, like, oh, our hubs now they're Matter support, and you can use Matter instead of the old way, and
Oh
blah
yeah,
blah blah.
and it
You
almost
remember I
destroyed you.
did that? Yeah, I had to completely blow it up and rebuild it because Matter completely was garbage. They did not
Yeah.
implement that right at all.
I think they got a little ahead of themselves. It should have worked, but I think the problem was just that
Yeah.
the accessories were not ready for it, and it wasn't
Yeah.
implemented in the home app properly, probably. And everything should be. I mean, I'm assuming that it's probably better now than it would have been then, but I have absolutely zero expectation for anybody who's already got 90 lights to switch that right now.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you moved and you were going to a new home and you had to redo all your rooms and all that kind of stuff, then I would say, yeah, give it a shot, because you got to do it all from scratch
Yeah, but it
anyway.
still is not smooth. Like I have some SwitchBot stuff that's Matter enabled, and it's just not a smooth
Oh, so
process.
you do have some stuff on Matter right now, and it's just
Yeah, it's just not.
but
Yeah,
it worked faster, did it not?
it does, but
Oh, wait a
the
minute. You know
whole
what? I think I
integration
switched.
and
I think I switched something onto Matter. I don't remember, but I remember because I remember saying it seems like it activates faster.
it
But
does.
I have been having more issues of late. So I think whatever it is that when there's updates, they don't necessarily translate into the actual working properly and Matter properly. So they may have to implement updates differently than they've done in the past. I think
Yeah.
if you get brand new stuff that says it works with Matter out of the box, and it's not first gen but second gen stuff that's already been tested more than once and also by
Possibly.
consumers, then maybe it'll work better. Like if I went out and bought a brand new Hue hub and brand new Hue lights, or whatever, Govee, whatever, anybody anything that works with Matter. If it said works with Matter on the box or has the Matter symbol on the box logo, then chances are that stuff might work better out of the box.
Probably.
Maybe. Um, but it's this older stuff. Like I honestly wonder. Like my Hue lights are working fine, but how much longer are they going to work fine? Because I swear everything I do just takes a few seconds longer than, like, it used to be. Give the command, it's on. Then it was give the command, it's on.
Oh, I've
Well,
been
this
having
time
all
last
kinds
year,
of
it's
Hue
give the
problems.
command, it's on. Now it's give the command. Hey, didn't I just give you a command to do something?
Yeah, I've been having
Oh,
all
okay.
kinds of
So I give
problems.
the command again. It's on.
I have a motion sensor in my closet that's supposed to turn on my 2 Hue lights. It's a
Right.
Philips Hue motion sensor. It's not a third party.
Right.
And I've been having issues now. When I open the door, I see the light on the motion sensor turn red because it sees the motion, but the lights don't come on.
So basically, when you go in, the motion sensor knows you're there. You get everything you need done. You leave, and then it comes on after you're gone.
I don't know if it does or not because the door's closed, but
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it sometimes it doesn't come on because I have it where like I come in, it comes on, I close the door after 15 minutes of no motion, it turns the lights off. Been working great. And here over the last couple of weeks, the lights won't turn on no matter what I do. I can wave my hand in front of me and it just doesn't, they don't come on. It's so irritating.
Yeah. You know what? I don't really understand why it's such an issue. I think maybe there should have been some public beta testing. I'm pretty sure they didn't do that kind of thing. They did some focus testing. They did lots of laboratory work and all that. But I think because of the way uh, the thing with Matter was drawing, I remember reading all of the technical specs about how it worked a long time ago. But I gave up caring when I read nowhere that it worked well. Nowhere. Everyone talked about how bad it was actually, or that it would be great, but it's not ready yet. All the articles that came out in the last several months that were like, why matter matters, why matter doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah. I
does
tried
matter
Matter so
matter
you
more
didn't have
than matter?
to.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
Yeah. I
I
said,
didn't
too
want to
late. I
try
already
matter,
did
but
it.
I wanted to make
You're
sure that you
late.
knew matter didn't matter, so I mattered.
Yeah.
All kinds of weird things like that, and YouTube videos about it, and I kind of gave up, and I stopped paying as much attention. But
Yeah.
the bottom line is it's a fantastic idea of something that should be fantastic. It's probably better now than it was when it started. A
Sure.
few
I'm
years from
sure.
now,
And it's got great
it
promise. And
probably
I
will
think
be,
it's going to be
and
a fantastic way of communicating, but
Matter
it's,
2.0 maybe,
yeah.
should be fantastic. But as for right now, no. But
Yeah.
I can't see with my glasses on. How long have we been going here? We want to make sure we. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
has it really been that long?
we've got about 8 or 10 minutes. So,
Oh yeah, it's not as much. So, I seem to have lost the other. I had some subjects on here, and I seem to have lost them. So,
the only other
uh,
thing we were going to talk about is just kind of like, we already discussed the TikTok thing. We were just going to make mention that the Canadian Intelligence Agency has warned Canadians to not use TikTok. We all know that this is kind of coming down the way. It's really going to stem on whether the U.S. truly makes it a banned application as to really what's going on.
yeah,
However, I did read, and I forgot to write down the countries. There was 2 or 3 countries that actually banned TikTok because they're having some current unrest. So they banned TikTok because they don't want people out there making TikTok videos of what's going on in their country. So,
yeah,
I don't know. The whole
yeah.
TikTok thing is, yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's,
it's a little different than the Canadian thing is because again, as I had mentioned, Canada will basically fall in line with what the States is doing when it comes to political matters that have to do with security. Much the same as when 9/11 happened, Canada closed their airspace as well. And the only reason why it remained open longer was to force airplanes to land as quickly as possible. If they were not past the point of no return coming from Europe or Japan or whatever, they had to turn around if they had fuel. If they were past that point, they had to land in Canada. They were not allowed to go to the US. And the Canadian military, Air Force, had jets in the air, prepared just in case, but they also were prepared to force any aircraft to land if they refused. There were a few pilots that said, no, 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 we're landing at Toronto or Montreal or whatever, or we're headed, the American airspace is closed. You can't go. You'll be shot down. That was actually true. You'd be shot down if you tried at this point.
yeah,
So they said no, you have to land now. And they said, well, we're going to go on to Toronto. I said, no, you can't. You are ordered to land. Like and these are air traffic controllers. And what some people might not understand is if they give you an order because the government or whoever's in charge of the air, airspace at that point in time, they are in charge. Their word is law at that point. So when they said no, you will land right now. And if you can look it up, you find some stuff on YouTube, and you can actually hear the audio of one pilot who's actually saying, and he said it a couple of times. No, we have to go to Toronto or whatever city it was. And he said, no, you have to land right now again. There's no option for you. If you pass the point of no return, you are landing now. You are not flying over Canadian airspace at all, and you are not permitted to fly over American airspace. and they were very adamant about it. Oh, okay, all right. They weren't told why in any way, shape, or form before they hit the ground. They didn't want anybody to know. They just, you have to come down. And I actually forgot why I brought that up.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that related to TikTok, but I was just going to let you keep
Oh, no.
going.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. No, it does relate. It does relate because basically what they were doing was they were immediately following suit because, again, it was a matter of security. So it goes the same way with just about anything else. If the United States says, this is a country we're warning everybody to get out of, and we're pulling our ambassador out and the whole bit, right? Everybody. Canada generally, if not right away, within a very short period of time, will do the same thing.
And I'm sure vice versa, so it would work the same way too.
It probably would because Canada usually wouldn't do that unless
the
United States has basically said you should tell your people not to go there, and this is why. Canada, the United States, and Britain very closely share their intel on enemies that they see as a common enemy. It doesn't necessarily apply the same to something like Israel pissing people off because they're not considered an enemy to the West, right? So if Canada has some intel and they're saying, well, we think that they might be doing this during this war, and this is why, they might share that with the U.S. and vice versa, but they're not necessarily going to do the same thing. Right, in regards.
Well, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service said
CSIS.
Blank. Huh?
CSIS. Sorry, go on. That's what they call it. CSIS is Canadian Security Intelligence Service.
Said point blank, without a shadow of a doubt, it is available to the government of China. The data.
Yeah,
TikTok
absolutely,
100% adamantly denies it, saying they have actually, quarantined all their North American data off into other North American servers. Again, I no way for us average people to quantify
exactly.
that. But
even if there's truth to that, that means somebody in China still has access to those North American servers. I mean, there's a reason for that, right? So maybe nothing bad is being done with it. Maybe, right? But I kind of get why they're saying no. It's not a good idea. So if a ban goes full on in the United States of America, Canada will have to follow it because it would just make no sense that you would be able to be standing 25 feet from the Canadian border and log on to Canadian Wi-Fi or have somebody ship you an LTE card or 5G card, whatever, right? Stick it in your phone and be close enough to the Canadian border to use it and not be considered roaming and get onto TikTok. And it would be legal? Well, it technically wouldn't, because then it would be like having to criminalize a bunch of 13-year-old teenagers for using TikTok illegally in border towns. And it would make no sense, right? So a flat out ban on it would actually create an issue where how would they stop people who have it? Yeah. How would they shut down the servers that fast?
We'll have to just see where this goes. And as it moves forward, I'm sure we'll cover it in future, episodes, because obviously this is going to be an ongoing story. It's not like ending anytime soon. So we'll definitely be covering it again as it moves forward. So,
but just remember, next week we're going to do the Google.
We're going to the graveyard.
On my end of it, I'm Lionel in Toronto. I'm going to say my goodbyes right now. We'll leave it.
On my end, I'm Robert from the U.S., and we'll catch you next week.